He says, in my experience, the spiritual journey is the willingness to face our demons and ultimately let go of everything, both your demons and your heaven. I would like to be a teacher like you, but you cannot give to others what you do not own yourself. So how do you teach the willingness to let go?
When you have a love of something, like the rose has a fragrance, did the rose create its own fragrance, or was the fragrance of the rose inherent in the seed? We know the answer. Love in a human being at its heart and in its beginning is pure and true. And that love contains all things, all possibilities, and all times. The honoring of that seed is something that this world almost ensures doesn't happen. Because when I say this world, I'm not talking about the world outside of us. I'm talking about the world within us that judges the innocence, that judges the soul that longs to fulfill the seed that it is through the love that it is shown and asked to complete in itself through whatever the task may be that is part of that completion. When we listen to the world, it will always tell us that we cannot do and be what it is that we love. Or if it does say you can, it always puts conditions on it that it required by a certain time and a certain place. And that consciousness and that order of love is the moth that circles the flame and never understands the unity that was sown into it at the beginning so that it might know it through the fruition and the completion of its own life. If a man has a willingness or a wish, if a woman longs to write a book, to be whatever it is, a great dancer, let's say, just for grins, let's say I'm old and I want to do something that old bodies aren't that good at doing. What happens to most people? Why bother? I'm not going to succeed at this. And the reason that there is that already assumptive defeat is because the individual has imagined what the success would be. And the success that you imagine would be is hopes in things seen. And hope in things seen is the fear that you'll never get to see what you've imagined. So you live conflicted for the rest of your life, having ignored something that called you to learn about yourself through, not to achieve. See, that's the problem. Everything for a human being is achievement oriented instead of understanding. Now listen, nothing is given to you that isn't part of an exchange. Nothing is given to you that isn't part of an exchange. So if it's given to me to try something, to do whatever it is that something in me says you can't, then my task is to enter into that as I am given the wish, so that that wish and the understanding may be exchanged for a further understanding of my possibilities, which, by the way, are endless, because who and what you are, love itself, is endless. So, my friend Bruce, you say you'd like to be a teacher. You say you don't know how to go about being a teacher. How do I go through this willingness to let go? What was the whole talk about, Bruce? I hope you were able to listen to it. Why don't I accept what I am? Accepting what I am would mean at times that I see that I'm absolutely stone cold, nothing like what I imagined myself to be, and then accept that. Why? Because then I'm in the real place. Then I'm in the place where I'm being given something to see. You know, in the Scrooge story, one of my favorites, the end, what causes Scrooge to go through this massive, Charles Dickens, through this massive transformation of himself? He sees all that he has been and all that he has done, and in seeing it, wants to fall into despair, but suddenly has an epiphany. The epiphany is what? You wouldn't show me this if it weren't possible for this to be other than it is. And in that moment, understanding floods in, fear, loathing, resentment floods out. An exchange is made because he accepts the lesson. Don't tell yourself what the lesson is. Move into the moment and let the moment show you that there is a lesson unfolding that you're part of in every moment. And that's the truth. You see, it's not, we have this static quality to a mind that must freeze thoughts into something that it can then think about, admire, or fear. That's that consciousness. That's a fake consciousness. See it. Bruce, follow your heart, man. In my own life, it was the love of what I always was given at the beginning that has shown me that a way was made by love for me to fulfill what I was asked to do. You will see the same thing. Everyone will if they follow their heart.